Hello, this is The Whole Truth, brought to you by the Greenville County Democratic Party. From local city councils and school boards to the South Carolina legislature and the nation, we provide a clear-eyed view of the whole truth surrounding the decisions, the policies, and the politics that have a direct impact on your family, your neighbors, and you. The Greenville County and the South Carolina Democratic Party have made incredible strides in recruiting extraordinary candidates for elected offices across South Carolina. In many instances, we even have primary election contests between multiple Democratic candidates from which you can choose. Because of this, we decided to interview as many of these candidates as we are able in order to have you be well informed as you vote in the June 9th primary elections.
Everyone, welcome to another episode of the Whole Truth Podcast. And today we have with us Edwina Winter. She is a candidate for the South Carolina Secretary of State. She was born in England and raised in part of Ethiopia. Edwina brings a unique global perspective to the Palmetto State with a 38-year career spanning international infrastructure projects and senior executive leadership. She is now a local business owner and dedicated community leader. She is running on a platform of transparency, supporting small businesses, and protecting seniors from fraud. Welcome, Edwina.
Thank you.
We're so excited you're here today.
It's nice to be here.
Yeah, we actually just did a Zoom, and I think you jumped off before I could hop on. Like, I just missed you. So I'm glad that we get to have this conversation today.
Well, it's nice not to be in a little rectangle on the screen.
Right? Yeah, finally getting to do something in person. So I'm just going to hop in, and we're going to talk a little bit about, your career, where you want to go if you're elected as Secretary of State, what you want to do, that kind of stuff. So you've managed massive infrastructure projects in the UK and Asia. How will that high-stakes executive experience improve daily operations for this office?
Okay, I think it will make it much more efficient. I think managing multi-million-dollar contracts, particularly in highly regulated industries like the nuclear industry, makes you really focused on what the goal is and how to get to it in the most efficient and safe manner. So I think having to manage all of those things and juggle all of those things whilst maintaining the goal is something that I can really bring to making day-to-day operations much more efficient.
Sure. So before we started filming, you were telling me a little bit about your projects and what you worked on. So just for the audience, and so they can have a little bit of information about your background, why don't you tell us what your career was like in those infrastructure projects? Okay.
So my first projects were really in road building, so it was heavy construction. So it was roads, tunnels, bridges, built probably about 20 or 30 miles of highway, a very large tunnel, several bridges. So that was that. Then went into the telecoms business and started to build cell sites up and down the UK, built about 10% of the cell infrastructure in the UK with my own company.
Oh, wow.
And then went into the civil nuclear program where I was deputy site director for the decommissioning program at the Traws-Fynydd Nuclear Power Station, which is in Wales, which is why it's an incomprehensible name, and was then responsible for 650 people and a $500 million decommissioning program.
That's insane. That's how you ended up here, right? So
then I was transferred to Colorado to start with to run the Asia Pacific business unit of the nuclear engineering company that I was working for.
Gotcha. And
that was then building mostly waste processing systems for nuclear power plants in China, Korea, Taiwan, and also I was responsible for the project that installed all of the emergency waste processing equipment for the Fukushima plant after the disaster.
Oh, wow. So you've had a pretty exciting career.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the roads and everything, I was like, we need you here because...
Yeah. I look at them. Oh.
I know you drive on our roads and you're like,
I look at them. The funniest part is when you've got the guy and the pickup truck and they're both sitting in the back with a pile of asphalt and they come along to a pothole and they shovel a bit in and then they literally jump up and down on the pot. And That's great.
Yeah, we could definitely use you here. So, in your introduction, we talked about how you wanted to protect seniors from fraud. So, what specific tech or investigative upgrades would you implement to catch Scrooge charities before they strike?
Okay, so that's an interesting question. So, specific tech, wouldn't be too sure about the exact tech, but it would really be
about policies.
Yeah, so
maybe?
Policy would really be to ensure that we know where the money is coming from and where it's going to. So if you give money to a charity in this state, do you actually know if it's going to the good cause, or is it actually being gobbled up in admin charges? So I would try to create more transparency within every charity for them to report how much is going to admin, how much is going to the board, how much is actually going to the good cause.
Sure.
And also to really try and make sure that I would be reporting all the time about any bad actors that were coming into the state, what their reputation was in other states or other countries, so that people could then make their own mind up about what they were willing to do, whether they actually wanted to give money to that particular charity. And particularly healthcare, veterans, are
Especially
things that
veterans.
are very... I was reading today that Georgia inmates were using contraband phones to scam seniors in Richland County out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they were phoning from jail and pretending to be this veterans charity.
Yeah.
And of course, South Carolina people are generous people.
Right.
So they were donating money, but it was actually going to the Venmo account of these inmates in prison.
Because that's going to help you get out of jail sooner, right?
Right. Maybe, I don't know. But again, I would want to make sure that was being advertised widely. I want to make sure that seniors have good opportunities for education.
Sure.
Because technology is growing all the time, and it's getting so sophisticated now that I think it's hard for us to keep up, let alone seniors to keep up. So I just want to make it more obvious, people better educated, and actually report more on what each charity that is registered in the state is doing.
Yeah. I mean, especially when it comes to healthcare too,
Because everybody's worried about their healthcare.
Exactly. And so, they'll trust somebody on the phone very quickly.
Right. Especially if they sound really professional.
Right.
So, and like I say, it's becoming so sophisticated now.
Yeah, it is very much so. Are there any statistics or data that you know of that can tell you the percentage of Scrooge charities that may be here in the state?
Yeah, and it's I don't have the number top of my head, but it was a scary amount. It really is a significant amount, and it's the fact that they morph from one thing to the other. So there'll be charity A this week, and then they'll call themselves charity B next week. It's not just charities; it's also companies and corporations that are being somewhat fraudulent. So there was a story this week of some woman in, I think it's Pickens County, who's been arrested 17 times since Christmas.
Yeah,
right?
I remember that.
Because
a boutique owner. Yeah.
Because she's got and so she's taking orders in and not shipping them out.
Right.
And she's been arrested 17 times. So
That's
how come she
amazing.
still is allowed to have the LLC?
Right. How does
to
she
be
get-
able? Right. So if I was Secretary of State, I would deregister her immediately so that she couldn't keep doing that, because 17 times is
And it's just
a lot of times.
right,
5
one right
months.
after the other.
Right. So, surely that's really bad, and we should be doing something about that. We shouldn't just let her out of jail and then she goes back to doing what she was doing the day before.
Right.
And there is no beneficial ownership legislation in South Carolina. So businesses can hide behind representative agents. So you don't know who they are.
Right.
They can be a shell company. They can be an overseas company. They can have been doing something horrible in another state and we just don't know.
Sure.
So I would push for, although the Secretary of State can't create legislation, I would certainly be pushing for beneficial ownership legislation so that we know where our money is going.
And you can't create it, but you can definitely influence.
Influence it, right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you still have some influence.
Some influence.
Yeah. So how will you evolve the annual report into a year-round tool for consumer education and legislative reform?
Okay. So, there is some reporting that's carried out, but it's spotty. It's not very often. Once a year is not very helpful.
Right.
As we've seen,
Okay, so we were talking about how you would evolve the annual report into a year-round tool for consumer education and legislative reform.
Right. So, like I say, there is some reporting that's done. Annually is not helpful. As we've seen, charities and businesses evolve and shift all the time. So I would try and make sure that we are reporting monthly. I'd also like to create a hotline for people to be able to phone and report. And then I would really want to be able to record that on a monthly basis so that people have that information and that people know actually where to go and look for it. I would actually advertise that this tool was available so that people could go check before they were going to make a big purchase, maybe from a business, or donate a large amount of money, or leave them something in their will, so that you could actually go and check that this was a legitimate business or a legitimate charity, and who owned it and where it came from.
So, I tried to create an LLC on the website. It is not intuitive at all.
No.
No.
I
mean, can we work that in there at some point to just overhaul this whole thing? Because and I think that's part of the problem for people is that they go to it and then they see this thing and they're like, what is this thing? This is 20 years old. I need something that's more modern, more up to date, where they can just easily click and that kind of thing.
And you don't want to have to hire a CPA or a lawyer to be able to navigate the system. So if you think about it, from my perspective, the Secretary of State's office budget is about $4 million a year, but it brings in about $14 million a year in business filings and registration fees. So I would want to put some of that $14 million back into updating that system. But also I want to make sure that people can access the office even if they're not in Columbia.
Sure.
So, or have access to a computer. So what I want to do is put some satellite offices out in libraries in more rural places, or go on a road show so that there's a big truck and it's got the information that you need and the people to actually help you register your business, so you can go there and it's a one-stop shop.
Sure.
You go there, you fill out the paperwork, you walk out with the LLC in your hand, and that it also then connects them with people who can offer grants, people who can offer business advice, people who can offer funding, hookups with banks and things like that, so that you can actually start your business from day one.
Oh, so not the good old boy network.
Not the good old boy network, no.
So as we wrap up, we've talked about how you moved here. You've had an interesting career. So taking all of that into perspective, being an immigrant and living in South Carolina by choice, which we are so glad you're here, how does your background, because it is so unique, help you bridge the trust gap with skeptical voters?
Yep, that's a good one. So I know that I am fully embedded into South Carolina society. I've lived here in South Carolina for 14 years, became a citizen in 2018, small business owner here, nonprofit founder here. So I think bringing all that together, as well as that international experience, I think I understand a little bit what motivates people and how to communicate with people who are not necessarily from the same background as I am. You have to try and find that common ground and work with people and negotiate with them to a point where everybody is probably mildly unsatisfied, but that is a good place for everybody to be.
Sure.
So I think with all of that international experience, I like people, I understand people, and I think I can bring a slightly objective view as well, because I don't have some of the biases that people here might have grown up with.
Absolutely. So the campaign manager in me is going to ask you to tell everybody how they can support you and follow you on the campaign trail.
Okay, so we're pretty much on all of the platforms, and it's Winter for the Win SC for social media. The website is winterforthewin.com, and there you can sign up to volunteer and to donate. Please donate. Donating is really important.
It's very important.
On a statewide run, it's really expensive to run a statewide race, so please think about donating. It helps all of the other candidates. If we are all working to spread the word, to show that there are credible candidates in the race. That brings other people along. So please think about donating. But winterforthewin.com, we'll find out a lot more about me and what the campaign is doing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here with us today. We really appreciate it. And we are so happy that you are on the ballot.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time today.
The Greenville County Democratic Party appreciates your time listening and watching the Whole Truth podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. While you're there, please follow us, like or subscribe to this channel to help us spread the word. The GCDP wants to thank Michael Fishman from Day Moon Productions for furnishing the recording studio as well as providing his time recording and editing. The Democratic Party needs you to get actively involved and join us at future events. You can find out about them at multiple locations like the GCDP website, greenvilledemocrats.com, and browse the events calendar. You can also keep up with us through our social media presence on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and Threads. Look for @GVLDem. Thanks again for listening. Let's get out there and do what we can to rebuild our government into one that serves us all. Thanks.